so grateful if you have been blessed with very little. And the sooner you get rid of it all, the happier you will be. I love my wife and I. Who cares about the stock market? Man, we can't lose anything. I don't care if it goes to zero. We lose nothing. It's a wonderful thing not to own anything. Greatest joy, freedom. There's a story told of a man that was fishing in Mexico, and this tourist came, ate his fish, and said, I love your fish. What do you do every day? I go out fishing, and that's how I make my living. And what do you do with the rest of your time? I spend it with my grandkids. I sit on the beach. I play soccer with them. I just have fun. But he said, this is really good. How many fish like this could you catch each day? Well, I could catch hundreds of them if I did it all day. But I only catch one. That's all I need to live. Every day I catch one big fish, and that's all I need. Oh, man, you're not thinking big enough. Go out there and catch more. And then what? Then you can buy a bigger boat. And then you can hire more people. Then they can fish all day long, and you can manage them. And then what? And then when you have gotten a big enough business, then you can just retire and spend time with your kids. You see how false that is? You work harder and harder so you can spend more time with your family. Why? If you're just satisfied with one fish, you can spend time with your family. Why should you work like crazy so you can do it? That's why it's a wonderful thing to let God have everything. Then you can enjoy life finally. It's a wonderful thing. I just wanted to share my testimony with you. We need to have less confidence in what man can do and far more confidence in what God can do. He longs for you to expect great things from Him. I want God to be so thrilled that when you expect great things from Him, my God can do anything. Isn't that wonderful? What kind of God do you serve tonight? I thought of what to tell tonight. I thought of what experiences. But I believe we're living right on the very, very edge of eternity. And my knees tremble to think that God is about to do something so great. It's never happened in the history of the Seventh-day Adventist Church before. It's much greater than anything has ever happened. And it's right on the verge of happening. And those who place themselves in God's hands and the Holy Spirit is poured out will suddenly be lit up. And you know what? Some people will never know it happened. They will look and say, what happened to them? And it will go right over their heads. And they will consider those who do this fanatics. Like, what? You gave everything to God? That's all you do now is work for God? Good night. There's a life to live. They will never know the Holy Spirit was being poured out. And we're standing right at that very edge. And I hope that deep in your heart, you just long with all your heart, Lord, whatever it takes, please pour out your Holy Spirit. Use me. Take everything I am, everything I have. But please take everything and use me. You think God would ever say no to that? Granted is what He'll say. If that's your heart longing and your heart desire. I have a lot of mission stories. I could tell more stories. But tonight I just wanted to tell you I'm trembling. Because I see it coming. It's like a wave. God is going to take total control of His church. And those that want it will get it. And those that are busy with other things will never know it came. And there will be a big polarization. Right now there's a small polarization happening, but then suddenly it'll be like two different sides. One is totally under God's control, the other one more and farther and farther from God every day. How sad. I have family members I'm praying for. I have two sons that are still making decisions. They're in college and they're making their decisions in their life. And I see them moving in the right direction, but they still need to make that total commitment yet. I'm praying for them. I pray for my brother who left the church. He took theology, took medicine, and left the church. He was the only one of us kids that took theology. I didn't even finish. I was ordained into the ministry because God put it in the hearts of my administration that I had been called into the ministry, and I'm grateful for that. I'm thrilled. But I never finished. I'm not a theologian. I'm an ordained minister, but I'm not a theologian. I'm an engineer, a pilot, and a nurse. And my brother left. And my sister-in-law said, I just heard our pastor preach that Jesus hasn't come for 2,000 years. It could be another 2,000 years before He'll come back. And she said, I am so happy that I can finally not have to worry about Jesus coming. I can now live a normal life. As a Seventh-day Adventist, I was always worried about Jesus coming. Now I don't have to worry about it anymore. Makes you cry, doesn't it? My brother's an honest, very honest Christian. And so we're praying, Lord, take that honesty and have somebody in that church reach him and swing him around and turn him face to face with Jesus Christ once again. Amen. Because the coming of Jesus Christ is the answer to everything. And if they weren't living in a very comfortable life, if they were living on the front lines and seeing all the pain and death that I see, Jesus' coming is the most glorious thing that can ever happen. But the devil shields us and puts us in a nice, comfortable life in a first world country, and then he says, everything is going fine. You don't need Jesus to come. So I'm praying for my family members. I know you have family members, loved ones that you have that you're praying for. But make sure that God can use you totally. Maybe the only chance your family members will have is if you are used by God. Maybe they'll never see anybody else controlled by God except you. So God has called you to be that person. Let God so fill you and use you that God can reach right through you and reach right into the heart of your loved ones and your neighbors and your coworkers and your fellow church members and pull them into the ranks. Invite them. To close tonight, I want to talk about the bride of Christ. One of our teachers asked me, Pastor Gates, who is the bride of Christ? I said, it's the church. Are you sure? Of course I'm sure. Really, really sure? Well, like almost really, really sure. Well, how sure are you? Well, I mean, that's what I've always known it to be. Go back and do some research. Okay. What a challenge, right? When somebody says, are you really sure? And you go, I better go back and read again. So the first thing I did, I mean, we all know that there's the church, the bride, dressed in white, without spot or wrinkle. Jesus is coming for his bride, right? We know that. But I decided to look up the word bride. And I came up to Revelation 21. Verse 2, and I, John, wrong page. And I, John, saw the holy city, the New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. In fact, if you keep reading here, and they carried away, and he said, would you like to see the bride? In verse 9, come hither, and I will show you the bride, the Lamb's wife. And he carried me away in the spirit to a great and high mountain, and showed me the great city, the New Jerusalem descending out of heaven. I thought, well, that's interesting. I thought it was the church. And now it looks like it's the city. No, but surely Jesus didn't die for the city. Did Jesus die for the New Jerusalem? No. Would Jesus marry a city? No, I can't believe that. I mean, he came and became one flesh with his wife. He didn't become one flesh with the city. Well, but how come it says that? And he showed me the great city, which was the bride. It must be a code word. It must be a symbol of the bride. Perfect, beauty, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. So I said, I better keep looking. So I typed in and looked for another word, the New Jerusalem. And it led me to Revelation 3, verse 12. And him that overcometh I will make a pillar in the temple of my God. Oh my, a pillar. Do you want to be a pillar? No, it's a symbol. It means a permanent fixture. Let me say that again. And to him that overcome I will make a permanent fixture in the temple of my God, and he shall go in and out no more. And I will write upon him my new name, upon him the name of my God, the name of the city of my God, which is the New Jerusalem, which cometh down out of heaven from my God, and I will write upon him my new name. Now then, all of a sudden I begin to see another picture. First of all, I know Jesus is going to marry his bride, which is real people. Would you agree with me? It's going to be his people, right? He became one flesh with his bride. Marriage is a symbol of our relationship with God, correct? No man was ever married to a city. So the city is only a symbol. But the interesting thing is, here's the people that overcome, and the interesting thing is, they have the name of the Father, the name of the Son, and interestingly enough, the name New Jerusalem. There's the code word. The reason the New Jerusalem is a symbol of God's wife is because